Welcome, welcome. This week, I am super excited because I have a very special guest with me, Rita Domingues, who is our producer of the podcast. And she is in town right now. She lives in Portugal, north of where I am. And so we get together every so often to work on strategy and other elements of the business. And we were talking about something recently, and we thought, why don't we share all this information, all this planning, all this work that we did for several months with you? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about brand photo shoots and specifically for authors or really any business owner or somebody who's looking to grow a personal brand. But before we do, Rita, you're usually behind the scenes. So would you take a moment to introduce yourselves to our YouTube slash podcast folks that are joining
Course.
us? Welcome to Beyond Better, a podcast that explores a simple but profound idea. We all deserve to live lives we love, and that includes our work lives too. I'm your host, Stacey Ennis, an author, book coach, speaker, and long-time location-independent entrepreneur living in Portugal with my family of four. Join me as I talk business, location independence, writing, publishing, and so much more, all focused on building a life that is beyond better.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here with you today. I know I've showed up my face, well, not my face, my voice a few times here and there. It's a little surprise, but it's really nice to be here, record a podcast in person. Like, you don't get to do that a lot with our guests.
Space here that we're
Yes. I mean, the view that we have from this side is gorgeous, but we won't be showing that right now.
just going to see our faces.
Also gorgeous. um, But yeah, so I produce a podcast as well as support Stacey in all the marketing aspects of the business and her personal brand, supports with PR for Stacey as well. And we've been working together for 4.5 years now, which seems kind of nuts. That's how long it's been. And yeah, like Stacey said, I've come down to meet her so we could work in person. I'm about to head on maternity leave in October, so that's very exciting chapter in my personal life, and obviously a little probably perhaps not so exciting for the business as we're
A
all
little
going.
bit scary, but we're all happy for you.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, we're just planning, which was one of the reasons why we got together. Now it's to start planning for that time and how we're going to get the support that we need, and also finalize the like looking at our goals that we've accomplished until now. That mid-year check-in that we usually do anyway, but this time a little bit more focused as well on the time that I'll be away. Um, but it's only a short period of time, so don't worry, the podcast will carry on. Everything will carry on. Just not without me behind the scenes. But yeah, more about me. I live in central Portugal, close to the coast. It's nice and very chill. Got two dogs, baby on the way. I'm passionate about design, graphic design specifically, and marketing as well. And it's really fun that I get to integrate both things with the business and learned so much from the publishing and author space the last few years through Stacey, and I'm just very glad that I get to do something that I love for my work and enjoy it and combined like me creative people and people that are driven, and yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't share this with you earlier, but when we were starting our day, I walked into the space that we're working and I just kind of took in for a moment that we get to just what a beautiful way to get to work
Oh yeah.
and just to build and create. And I think one thing I would just add is that you also have started getting involved in some of the author education. So you're going to be running a session with Andrew on our team. So shout out Andrew is also amazing. Um, and we should have on the podcast
Well,
actually.
you guys are getting together later in the year, so
Oh yeah, good point. We might be doing him this exact spot. Um, but that Andrew and Rita are going to be doing a session in our author community on metrics. And that's a huge area of education and learning for authors. So, not just behind the scenes, but also in supporting authors. Sometimes you meet with clients who need
Yeah.
support on things. She meets with clients' teams sometimes and has been, outside of her normal roles, very integrated into all the things. So that kind of brings us actually into a specific thing that you worked on recently, which was brand photo shoot. And you could probably hear the tone in my voice that this was like not necessarily something that I was jumping up and down to do. And yet I actually had a lot of fun. So we'll get to that. But maybe I can start off a little bit with why we decided to put the time, money, energy, planning, stress into this author photo shoot. We can talk a little bit about why it mattered, why we made the decision to do it. We're also going to we have some notes, so we're going to be referencing these just to give them a little overview. Rita, can you scroll down? Because I want to make sure I can give like an overview of where we're going to go. Okay, so we're going to talk about why you need your brand photos, and I'll share a little bit for me. We're going to talk about why it's an asset and where you can use them. So help you think more than just the author page in your book or the about page on your website, but how you'll use those as an asset. We're going to talk about how we started planning and some of the first steps we took, and then some of the planning steps we took. And we're going to get really nitty gritty from outfit planning, location planning, finding vendors, makeup, hair, facial, like all the things that I did to prepare for it. And then we're also going to talk about budget and how to think about budget depending on where your business stage lives, what you have to spend on your author shoot or your branding business shoot. We're going to talk about the day of. So I'm going to share a little bit about my experience actually doing the shoot. And then we've gotten our photos back. So we're going to talk to you about what we're doing next with them. And the hope is that this is going to save you a lot of time and stress and all the things, but also maybe motivate you to not do what I did, which is put it off for probably 5 or 6 years longer than I should have. So, we had this on our list almost every year to get new photos, and it just kept getting kicked down the road. And probably like me, if you're listening to this or watching this, you have probably had it on your list too, and it's probably gotten kicked down the road because a ton of other things come into priority. On my side, we just had a lot of things going on. I was traveling, we had campaigns we were running, I'm doing client work, I take vacation, I'm very mindful about taking time off. And so it was one of those things that would be like, oh, in 6 months, oh, in another 6 months. And it just kept getting moved down the road. And that was my fault. Rita very much was bringing it up. It was a priority from a marketing standpoint, but for me, it wasn't prioritized the way that it should be. And
Also, like to add, there's also other things like weather, for example.
yeah,
Like timing that, like sometimes the time would be right, but then
yeah.
it's winter. Like if we want to do some outdoor photos, it's not going to work so well. So
Also, like, this is gonna sound a little vain, but, like, I don't wanna be all pasty in all my photos, in the we talked about this, we timed originally, we wanted to do April, May, that didn't work out, we ended up doing oh, no, it was May. We wanted to do April, we ended up doing in May, but part of it was I said, "I'm gonna have, like, a little glow, I'll be outside, and I'll feel good about myself," and it gets kind of overcast in the winter. I'm not outside as much, and so I wanted to feel and look my best and feel really confident going into the shoot. But yeah, you're right. The heat was a factor,
yeah.
the rain was a factor. And then it kind of got to a point where I remember once we picked a date, which we'll talk about that later, and I knew they were coming. It's kind of like when you start redesigning your website and now you're like, oh, this thing's so bad. I know what the new one is coming and it's going to be great. I was getting pretty embarrassed about sending my photos. They were just 7 years old by the time we got our new pictures. And, I'm 40 now. I have my face has changed. It's not even just my face, it's also the way I carry myself has changed. I'm more confident, I'm more mature, I'm
Also,
wiser.
the brand itself has evolved, and I don't think the pictures that we've had were as reflective of the brand
Yeah.
itself as they are now, which will be. was so excited to share with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, and we will also, if you're on YouTube, you'll get to see a sneak peek. And I will say I loved my first shoot that I did, my last shoot that I did. And we have captured some photos along the way. We worked with
Yeah.
some professional videographers. We captured some photos then, but it wasn't like a proper shoot. And I will say the other reason we put it off is that I loved my photos so much for my last shoot that I didn't want to do new photos and love them less. Like I didn't see a point in that. And we just weren't coming across talent that felt aligned for us in just really trusting them, not just from an artistic talent perspective, but also from a human perspective, that they really understood the brand, that they were good business people, responsive, reliable.
No.
And I feel like a lot of that changed when we met Elena. You want to
Shout out
talk
to
about a little
Elena.
bit about her and just kind of what we saw in her that made us decide to work with her? Because I think that'll also be helpful for anybody that's trying to select a photographer. And you're an artist as well, so you're able to bring in that, and you're a photographer, so you're able to bring in that.
Ish.
I mean, as
I'm
some
good.
who pictures, you're very talented.
It's a hobby. But yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, before we dive into that, I think what you said earlier of like we picked a date,
Mm,
that was like we were like, okay, we've flagged that this is an urgent need. We need to do this. Let's pick a date. So after we've picked a date, then we just kind of work towards it and it's like, okay, this is happening. So there's no way that we're just not going to do it or like we need to plan and prepare to this.
yeah.
Um and yeah, then obviously picking the date and actually before we picked the date, we picked the time of year that we wanted to do it. And
Mhm.
that's when we started the research. Okay, like we know we need to speak with someone by okay, we're gonna do it in May. We know we need to speak with someone by like January to make sure that they would have the availability. That if it wouldn't work out, we would have time to like find someone else and shift the planning. But yeah, so we started looking at obviously some people that are local to us that were comfortable doing branding photo shoots, like personal branding photo shoots, because I think you have different types of photographers for different types of things. Like your wedding event photographers, and then you have your more corporate photography, and then you have your uh like housing real estate photography. And I think the personal branding, it's not just capturing a portrait of someone. You really have to understand the brand as well. You have to like get to know the person a little bit. So for that, we actually met with, well, Stacy met with Elena. It wasn't just like over message or over a phone call. They actually did a video call to kind of like get to know each other a little bit before they started working together. Because that's important. Like the person needs to understand your vibe. Uh,
And
when
I had seen her work also because she's done some photography for other people
yeah,
locally for TEDx as well. And so I knew that she was trusted by like a reputable group. I mean, she's actually one of the organizers and a license holder for TEDx. So she had proven out her professionalism because part of it is, you're making such a big investment. It's not even the money part wasn't the biggest part for us. It was the time and energy that and Rita were putting toward it. So to put all of that and then have somebody that's not trustworthy or kind of doesn't deliver what they say they're going to, like that's a huge, huge risk and a lot of missed time. And I don't think I would have had the energy to redo it after all that we did to be ready for that morning.
and even with all the planning, that was stuff that didn't like every plan. They didn't go like we originally envisioned them, and we had to shift and like move things over as we were going through this creative process because truthfully it was a creative process. And yeah, so I think yeah, it's important that you are working with someone that understands that and can work with you, which Elena is great for that. Like from the beginning, communicating with her was super easy, and she was responsive and she understood why we were asking the questions we were asking, because by asking questions like, I don't know, not just like your rate and your availability, but like your experience, like what do you like about certain things? And I think that just, you get to know the person that you're working with. both in both ways, her, us, and we get to know her work, not just her work, but like a way of working. To because again, it is a creative. Uh, what am I trying to say here?
Collaboration.
But yeah, collaboration and effort. Like it's creative work, so you do want to have someone that aligns with your vision. So yeah, so we started researching. I reached out to her December, I think, the first time I spoke to her. Then we
Yeah.
kind of like didn't follow back because we just, New Year, we were having campaigns running, other things. And it got to like, I think late January, beginning of February. And I was like, Stacey, we need to get this booked. And that's when we like re engaged the conversation with her, picked a date. And then, yes, things started flowing from there.
We were also looking for a photographer for our retreat as well, which we've also hired the same amazing photographer for. But one thing I just want to backtrack a little because I think this is really useful for anybody who's doing a brand photo shoot, business shoot, author shoot, is that we really approached it from a collaborative standpoint and really kind of brought her into the vision of what we wanted to create. We didn't just send her an email that's like, "What do you charge? Can you send me a service packet?" That is the last way that you want to reach out to somebody that's going to be has such a huge hand in your curated brand image. And the other thing is with any vendor that you use, whether it's a book coach or it's a photographer or whatever you're working with, is you have every right to interview and ask questions and dig in. And um, if you do it in a collaborative spirit, and then you get to also test how that person is in responding to questions. That's a great way to see, is this a collaborative person? Are they going to be willing to answer my questions? And you wanna make sure that that is really gonna be a positive, relationship. So doing that due diligence and we had already looked at a ton of different photographers' websites. I think you had reached out to one other photographer, that we found, and I think it was a little
Yeah,
bit the vibe too
and
when
not
we were
only that,
making
like
the
a lot of
trip.
times you don't even get responses,
Yeah.
which for me is like, okay, that's fair enough. But so just
Don't
again,
lose
like,
heart, you'll find your
yeah.
photographer, yeah, and it's also, like, you have to find the person that works also with your budget, so it's always looking for the best person that you can afford within the constraints that you have. So, just kind of knowing what that budget is going in, that'll also help you make decisions, which we'll talk about budget later. We didn't talk yet, though, about, like, the bigger why. I talked about why I put it off and why I didn't really talk about why I wish I hadn't yet and why it matters. But for us, these because my brand is so personal driven, it's me as a human being, as the expert in the business that supports authors. So I am the face of the business because while the legal business is not actually called my name, I bet you have no idea what it is. Most people have no clue. Most people know it as Stacey Ennis as my name. So having updated, looks like me, also aligned with the vibe of our brand now, the maturity of the brand, the way that we've grown in 7 years. I mean, just the distance that I've come as a professional and expert, that's all present. And it also doesn't just reflect where the business is, but where the business is going. And the fact that I'm in Portugal now, we've got this beautiful images of Portugal, so that having that be current is so important and taking control of your image narrative is so important, but then also having it for all the things. So we got 50 photos per shooting hour and we did 3.5 shooting hours. And then we actually ended up buying a couple more. I think in total we ended up with almost 230 photos. So we have just this like treasure trove of beautiful photos that we're going to use to update website, social media, media kit. We have different images that we can use for different events or media that comes up. We just have this huge bank now of aligned, updated photos. And I know you were really excited to get those updated to be able to use them in marketing.
Yeah, because I think our photos, the ones that we had before, like I mentioned, they were reflective of you and of your work, and they're gorgeous pictures. I still love them now, but I just don't think they were as reflective of the business itself as it stands. One, you were in the US still.
Yeah.
And like just the imagery around is just so different, like the landscape. And I think, we wanted that to be reflective because that's a big part of like the brand, like being a location independent, like that flexibility and that lifestyle piece. So that was really important for us to be able to capture. And the other one was just they were just saturated the images. We've used them so much that it was just maybe like most likely probably no one really notices. But
Yeah. Not the
it,
image, just to be clear, because it's not oversaturated in like the actual editing of the images
no,
because
no,
they're
no.
beautiful. And a huge shout out to Brandy Lynn, who I adore and would love to do more photos with in the future. But you just mean in our marketing
Yeah.
usage, like we'd use it for
I
7
just literally
years.
translate it from Portuguese to English, and
What is the
that's
Portuguese word?
saturado.
Saturado.
It's like when you've overused something.
Okay. Because
It's
I
like
think,
it's like a bit tiring. It's like
yeah,
same
it's
again, It's
overused.
overused.
Overused, right?
Overused. That would be the right word.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Uh,
Well, I learned a new vocabulary word, as did our
but saturated can
producers of
also
yours.
mean the same as like
Sat-
saturated for picture editing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing,
Yeah.
just to kind of the point of this and why you want to do this and think about it sooner than later and plan ahead is that if you're in the process of launching your book or relaunching your book, or you have a campaign coming up, or you have a business growth objective, a brand campaign coming up, marketing campaign, the last thing you want to do is rush and hustle and hurry and like book photos in 2 weeks and not feel ready for it, not have the outfits you want. You want to meet opportunity proactively. And while I mean, we were working from beautiful photos, so it's not like we didn't have something to use, but I do feel like there was a missed opportunity there. I should have probably done at least minimum one more shoot between last time and this time, but probably two. So we really did miss some opportunity there. Really, you should be doing photos every 2 to 3 years at this capacity, like in this kind of bigger effort. And it doesn't have to be as big as we're going to talk through, but to have those updated and ready. So when you get that keynote or you get that media thing, I had a couple things that came through that if I had had a photo like this to send in, it would have just been so epic. And like, I think about that now and I wish I had had that on hand and I didn't. So now we do. Let's talk logistics because this is one of the reasons that we're recording this is to get all the specifics down for you, to document it for you. And hopefully this will be really useful for you. Okay, we had to edit this episode because Rita and I had to remember exactly when we got this on the calendar because this is the first step. So
We needed to argue and
we had to argue a little,
we couldn't put that on
lovingly
camera.
argue. Okay, so what we determined is that we got it on the plan about how many months ahead?
About 6 months ahead.
6 months.
We knew that we knew we wanted it would have to be done this year, and we knew we wanted to do it on the earlier part of the year and between seasons,
Yep.
like on the shoulder season kind of thing.
Before all the tourists
So for
come.
all the tourists, for the heat,
Hmm.
and with already a little bit of a glow, some
Yes,
skin,
as we talked about.
as we spoke before. So yeah, it was about 6 months. We knew that we wanted to do it about May, April, May. Ended up being early May that we did the shoot. Um, early May. Yeah, it was
But we
early May.
got it booked probably
Like
3 or 4 months ahead, I think.
yeah, three. I think about 3 months.
We talked to her probably 4 months ahead, and I
Yeah,
think I put the deposit down 3 months ahead or
yeah, because
something like that.
there was a couple of dates that we were trying to see, and then obviously that also depended because as you will see when you'll see the photos, um, there was some indoor and outdoor shooting. So not only we were the date mattered for like the tourists in town because Stacey lives in a quite touristic area, the weather, but also the availability of the space that we were going to take the indoor photos. So that was like a little bit of a coordination, making sure that the people that were supporting through the shoot on the day of the shoot were available. So then that's when we got the date. Actually, it was June.
Was it?
Was early June. Was June
Oh,
before?
yeah, because
Was just
okay,
before your US
so
trip.
don't do this. Don't book something like this 1 week before you're gonna travel internationally, because I would not have done that again. But I did realize actually when we were planning our annual strategy, we did put some tentative dates on the calendar, but I think it was in April.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think that was good because at least it was on our calendar. And then it's kind of like anything else until you put the deposit down, it's not really happening. So we got the date, and then our next step was coming up with the kind of visual of kind of the artistic direction, which Rita put together.
We gotta put some screenshots
Mhm.
during this video, so go on YouTube to watch it. So you can see a little bit of like of the behind the scenes of like how we created. So the mood board that we started envisioning after
So cool.
conversations
It's
that we've
beautiful.
had. So we just started putting like mood board of inspiration of both makeup, like styling of photography on the street. Obviously, we looked as well for that inspiration when we picked to work with Elena. We looked at her portfolio, so we knew that like she was more than capable of doing that style. And it even on that mood board, I included some shots that she has taken before. Because she had shoots before in the place that we shot indoors.
Mhm, yeah.
So we could like recreate a little bit of like this is the sort of vibe that we want to capture. So we started like capturing all of those for a mood board, and then from then we then started to plan the actual outfits, how many outfits, like how are they gonna like you know like how many are we going to use them? Are we going to use them indoors, outdoors? Like, are we going to do a bit of a mix? Because like we've said, like, and obviously this will depend where you are in your business at, at the moment. And like, you don't have to do all of this, but for what we wanted to do and where Stacy is at this time of her business, if we're going to make all this investment, not only like financially, but time
Time,
wise, which is the main thing,
focus.
focus. And
Yeah.
we wanted to have photos for a long time. Well, not 7 years, but for a long time. And that were also flexible and like that show different sides of the business because the brand itself has different components and that's so it was very important for us to have that captured, which means different outfits, different locations, and a longer day of shooting. Um and I lost my train of thought. So
That's okay. Pick it up.
you might wanna carry on.
Well, what I was just going to add is, of course, not everybody will have a talented person like Rita to support you on this, but I think that taking some time to put together a Pinterest board or a mood board for yourself, we will put this on the screen again. If we've already showed it once, we'll put it up again just to kind of walk through and show you what she did. But you can use also AI to support you on some of these. You can use Canva, you can use all kinds of different things to put these mood boards together. One of the things that we ran into that we had to revise a little bit is the original outfit plan was more casual than I wanted, and I wanted some casual, but I really also wanted really kind of like an elevated, whimsical look, and I wanted like an elevated, like something I could wear into a boardroom, and I wanted casual,
A
and I
little bit urban too.
a little urban, and I remember I loved the first outfit plan, but I think I don't know if I called you, I wrote you, but I said part of our brand is an elevated elite brand. So we need to elevate some of components of these outfits. So we did things like change the shoe on an outfit or add a jacket or, we changed a couple things in our original planning just to kind of match not just where the brand is, but where we want to go because the images, we're not just showing you every day when you're doing your photo shoot. You are curating the image of your business, your brand, your author brand, and you're telling a story about how you want to be perceived. You're shaping that narrative. So you have a real opportunity to do that, but you have to think about that. And it's not, I love for people to just look at our hearts and our brains and see all of our value, but that's just not how humans work. We take in information, we make conclusions, and the first information anybody's brain has is what they see. And so that visual is your active storytelling. And that's what we worked so hard on was to make sure that we were really active storytelling in our imagery.
And especially on online business, right? Like
Mhm.
we don't get to go to an office space and welcome people to the doors. Like all of our doors are to the house, let's say, it's all
Mhm.
virtual. So we really have to recreate the feeling that we want to pass to our audience and our clients. We really have to be very thoughtful how we are recreating that in a virtual space because like I said, we can't physically welcome people, and capture those moments and create that experience to everyone, through physical. So especially if you are an online business, it's so important that your image really capture what you're trying to perceive, to the world.
Yeah, such a
So
great point.
yeah,
And also, even if you're not an online business, I think
yeah,
this is true all the way around. The first time somebody meets you will be through an image, most likely, maybe a video, but something that your physical body is not present for. So it's important to really take ownership over that. I'm thinking, I'm looking at our notes, Rita, that we put together, and maybe we can walk through the day of and kind of talk through all of the logistical components of it. So hair, makeup, all those things, so we can kinda talk through we organized all of these items ahead of time. We, being Rita, mostly did the work of organizing, but why don't we start at the day of, the kind of the actually, I'll talk to you about the week leading up. I had a facial, just a normal facial. Like 3 days before, I had my eyebrows done, just tinted and shaped. So those and my nails done. So I did my nails and my toes because I had some open-toed shoes. So those for any men listening, I you're so lucky. You're so lucky. Like, I was thinking about this during that week. I was like, "Man, we have to do so much stuff." But for us women, these are probably things I don't normally get my nails done. I don't normally do facials. I do like to have my eyebrows done, but other than that, I'm pretty low maintenance.
and
So
I think it's important to know to like to say why you also did that. Not only to obviously it's to look good in the picture, but also for you to feel your best self.
yeah, heck
Because
yeah.
that energy, you want to carry that energy through the images. And that's like if you're not feeling great when someone's taking a picture of you, you just gonna feel awkward. And even if the picture, if no one can tell, like you're gonna look at that photo and know that you were feeling that way.
Yeah.
And again, these pictures will reflect your brand, how you want to position yourself, and your like Stacey mentioned right at the top of the episode, you're in charge of like creating the narrative that you want for your
Or the inner
business.
narrative too. I
Exactly,
think it's like,
exactly.
yeah, that's a great
So
point.
so for Stacey it was really important that she was doing everything she could to feel great. So obviously it was the week leading up to, but then stuff that you did on the day to feel good as well.
Yeah.
Like exercising, have a good
Yeah,
sleep,
I
good
ran the morning
breakfast.
of.
So
Yeah.
you can carry on about
Oh,
the
well,
planning of the day.
I was even just thinking even leading up to the photos, like, I was thoughtful about my exercise and my food and, like, again, should it matter? No. Would it be nice if I could just show everybody my credentials and the fact that I care? That'd be great, but, like, I knew if I didn't take care of myself and feel really good going in, to Rita's point, I was not gonna feel my best, and I wanted to feel good.
And
So
have fun on the day as well.
yes, I have fun. That was actually, like, the day that I woke up, I realized I had been, like, kind of not excited about it, so the morning of, I was like, "I'm gonna, like, treat this like a wedding day." Your wedding day, you get pampered and you have fun and it's, like, joyful, and so I I just kinda, like, even wore, like, almost like what you would wear if you were a bride, like, it was, like, this loose fitting kind of vibe, and I had, like, little I'm things on and then my hair pushed back, and I just kinda was, like, ready to get my hair and makeup done, and I was just like, "I'm gonna have fun." I brought Taylor Swift to listen to during the photo shoot. I brought my little Bose, portable speaker and, like, just had fun, and I think that that made it way more joyful than if I was, like, nervous and because the photos are gonna happen whether you're miserable and anxious or happy and having fun, like, and have fun.
Exactly.
And it makes you more confident too. Morning of, I had my hair done and my makeup done. So shout out to Kamal and Deanna for doing a great job on that. And made me feel really great going into my photos. And I actually hired a young woman named Suna who was really like an unexpectedly awesome aspect of this day because she models. So she's younger, she's still in high school, and she came and like basically carted things around for me all day, but then she would come in and, like, give me modeling tips and things, so that was so fun, and
She just brought a really light energy to the shoot,
great
right?
energy, it was so fun, she was just lovely and, like, made it super fun, and that was kind of a last minute thing, it was, like, a couple
Like
days before,
today's your
where I
phone.
was like, "Oh my gosh, I've got so much stuff." I had props, books, glasses, the little props that I brought, and I was like, "I can't carry, I'm gonna be so sweaty and gross," and so, she came and helped with that. And then we had several locations, so I rented a venue for a couple of hours, we did indoor photos, um, and we also did some outdoor photos, and maybe this would be a great point to show some of them on the screen and do, like, a little peek on YouTube. If you're on the YouTube channel, we'll do a little peek at some of the beautiful photos we had indoor. We did multiple locations indoor, we did some urban vibes, we did waterfront. We did wind, the car, the
Yeah.
yellow car,
That's
that
the other point that I
boat.
was going to say. It was like that was a lot of planning on the behind of the scenes between me and the photographer, like picking the locations and the
Yes.
outfits to match the vibe that we were of the spaces that they were going to shoot. I was literally like, because obviously I don't live in Stacy's town, so I was on Google Maps on Street View because I know the town very well. I used to live here, so I was like, "I know the place, but I need to show this to the photographer so she knows what I'm talking about." Like capturing, like screenshots from Street View on Google Maps and like
Yeah.
planning with her.
And
And
pushing
then
back too, which I think, like, you and Alina had a really good exchange
yeah,
of, like, she had some ideas that were really good ideas, but you knew the brand, and I think, like, this is a great lesson for anybody that's planning this, like, if you know something is right for your brand, a great collaborator will be like, "Okay, great.
yeah,
Like, let's talk
yeah,
about that."
yeah,
And
yeah,
then Elena would kinda push back where she needed to, and
yeah.
that arrived at a really great place.
Yeah, because for her, she has an expertise that I obviously don't have,
Yeah.
which it has to do with lighting
Mhm.
and the time of the day and how that actually is going to come across on the image. And then obviously she was doing the editing part too. So I would say to her, I was like, I would love this, but you tell me if this
Yeah.
makes sense for the time of the day that we want to shoot. So it's really great. Like, and again, going back to what we were saying, picking the person that it's going to help you with this. It's so important because you want to have this as a creative collaboration effort. And yeah, it was fantastic to work with her. And my point that I was going to say about like all this planning, they still went off script. Unfortunately, I wasn't here for the day of the shoot, but they went off script, and that was great because we got those great images that weren't even part of the plan. And when I saw the sneak peeks, I was like, "Oh my god, this looks so good!" I'm so glad that like
The
the yellow
yellow car, well,
car,
I'll just
yeah,
show that one on YouTube,
yeah,
and then, because Elena had a specific street in mind, and she had a specific like, not building, it was like a tree kinda
yeah,
area, and there was this one image that we'll have to show where I love this picture, I'm kind of, like, holding my hair and the sun is coming up over my shoulder. Do you know the one that I'm talking about? If you can't find it, I'll help you find it for
yeah.
YouTube. But it's just, like, such a beautiful shot, and she knew exactly what she wanted, and so it's also having trust in the photographer that you hired to make sure you're listening, and like, she really was like, "No, we have to go get this," and we're all trudging there, and we get there, and it's beautiful. So, on this collaborative element, even at the start of the photos, I don't remember exactly how the conversation unfolded, but we had a little powwow at the start that was like, "Let's have fun. Let's enjoy it today." I turned on the Taylor Swift, and then we just kept that attitude all day, and we took a big break in the middle as well so that we could eat and refresh and, rest a little bit, and so that also helped keep our energy high because it was all day. By the end of the day, we were all completely exhausted. I had sores on my feet from walking around, but we were all so it was just such a feeling of accomplishment and fun and joy, and like we created something really special and had a special experience. And whether you have just you and a photographer, you and a support person, and somebody like Rita helping, or if you're really DIYing a lot of it, if you can go into it with that mindset, it's like you're going to grow from that experience more than it just being like, okay, let's take another picture, just have fun. It also doesn't have to be multiple locations. It doesn't need to be multiple outfits. If you have, we're going to talk about budget shortly, but if you have a smaller budget, one location with maybe two outfits can still yield amazing results. You can have a great time with it, and you can get something that's an asset for your business. So, why don't we talk a little bit about budget? We totaled up what we spent on this shoot altogether, and our budget came out to about $1,500. And this is, I know for many of you in the US, especially if you're in the East Coast or like West Coast, like California, that's not going to be a very reasonable number for you to shoot for. That included outfits, renting the location, hair, makeup, facial, nails, photography, which was obviously the biggest item. But a lot of like the personal care services are very affordable here, so that made it more possible.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we actually would have spent more money on clothes, but the more expensive items didn't end up working anyway, so we returned them. And my favorite outfit I actually ended up buying, was it the day
It's the
before?
night before.
In a panic, but it was actually, like, my favorite dress, I've ever had pictures done in other than my wedding dress. Um, and so there was a lot of planning and thoughtfulness in the budget, but then some of it didn't work out, so we had to be, scrappy, I guess. So, what I would say to you is that, you do need to have a budget for good high quality photos, but it doesn't need to be $1,500. It might be more than that. You might have a bigger budget or you might have a much smaller budget. But my first photos that I ever had done were in my backyard and my husband took it. It doesn't have to look like what I'm talking about. But I also think it's really good, no matter what stage you're at, to hear what other people are doing. So you can go, okay, I could take that. I could take that. I might not be able to do a facial and maybe get as many outfits or as long of a shoot, but I might be able to do a 1 hour shoot and two outfits. And I could have my makeup done, but I'm going to do my own hair. And, you can factor those into it.
And you can totally DIY this. And I think that's like the main reason why we're sharing this video is like it's more about the importance of why you should do this, how you can use the pictures, and like the planning that we've used that hopefully will save you time to plan. It's just like, okay, this is like checks of like, I need to think about this, think about this. We could totally DIY this whole thing. And in fact, we were going to work with a personal stylist as well. And then we decided, actually, why don't we just like discussed that between Stacy and I. We did that because we felt like it just didn't felt reason to make that investment right now. Uh, because again, even though we planned this with time, it felt like too rushed
Yeah.
and it was a big investment to get someone to do that work in a rushed way. So you can totally DIY this. Like Stacy said, like your husband did your first photos in your backyard. So with a little bit of planning, a little bit of like just like thinking about how you're going to take the pictures rather than just, oh, damn, I need to take like a headshot now because I need to send this and they need it by tomorrow. I need just like a rushed headshot in an outfit that you perhaps don't love so much. You can totally just like plan a little bit ahead and totally do this for a very affordable way. This really depends where you are in your business. But the main thing of this episode and why we're sharing this is why it's important and why you should do it with time and the planning behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love the way that you put that. And then also, your point about the like rushed headshot. If you plan ahead and let's say you can budget for an hour, you can do one location, you have two or three outfits, you can get so many shots. You can get we'll show some on the screen of, typing, of I'm writing on sticky notes. We have so many different shots, so many different angles, so many different just
Vibes.
yeah, vibes is a good we love the vibes. Um, and so it gives you a lot of versatility for different formats. So just as an example, I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but if I am speaking at a nomad conference, which I have never done, but I could see that happening in the future, I might send them one of the pictures of me in front of one of the Portuguese tile buildings. And if I'm speaking at an accounting conference, which I have done many times, I might send them one with a blazer in a little bit more of a kind of professional feel that would maybe resonate more with that audience. So you have some versatility. And even just taking a jacket off can
Yep.
completely change an outfit. Changing a
Yeah.
necklace,
Yeah.
there's putting your hair up in a class.
Standing versus sitting down.
Yeah.
I know. Like it like And again, you will work with the person that you will work with, or even just get inspiration. Just go on Pinterest and get inspiration of other people's shots if you can't hire a photographer. So yeah.
Yeah. So, with all that said, we are going to be using these photos everywhere, including on YouTube, including the website, the podcast, the social media. So, if you're following us on all the places, just keep an eye out. It's going to be like a photo scavenger hunt of where we're using all the things. We're so excited. Probably Rita's the most excited. And I really hope that this was helpful for you, no matter the stage you're at. If you've never had photos done, it's gonna be great. You're gonna be awesome. You'll feel handsome or beautiful. You will, just show up as you, have fun, invest what you can, but really pay attention to, how do you want to show up? How do you want to project yourself? And just do your best with the resources you have. If you don't have a Rita, I'm so lucky to have her to work with. Just be your own Rita, and put in that time and thought because it will really pay off. Do you feel like it was worth all the
Oh yeah, and
time?
energy. Yeah, and again, like even on the day, just like seeing like behind the scenes of like how the outfits. Because one thing is like you planning the outfits on your computer and like seeing the images. The other is like actually seeing them on the day with the makeup, with the hair, like all the things.
Yeah.
And it was just so nice. I was just so excited. And when we got the photos back, I was like, heck yes, this is
Yeah.
very.
Heck yes.
So yeah, just stay tuned. We're gonna be updating everything very soon. So yeah.
Thank you for joining me, Rita.
Thank you for
I get
having
to meet
me.
you in person. Normally, I'm thanking you behind the scenes for all the work that you do to get this out into the world. And it's not going to be the same when you're on maternity leave, but we'll do our best to do you proud and keep everything humming smoothly until your return. And thank you for being with us. If you're on YouTube, maybe for the first time because you wanted to see a sneak peek of our pictures, hit that follow. I don't even know what it's called, subscribe button. We're a little like we've had YouTube for a while, but we're not as YouTubey yet. So you'd be really helping us grow our channel by subscribing, maybe leaving a comment of your favorite photo. And we will be back with you before you know it.